Mickey Loomis has done it again, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints general manager, he pulled off an excellent move because these four players made the roster. The New Orleans Saints have been trying to get younger. They've been trying to get cheaper, and four undrafted free agents from this rookie class made the roster. And this is an excellent move by Mickey Loomis. I'm super excited that these four players are a part of the active roster, and I need your help congratulating these four guys for making the game day roster. Type congrats in the comments section so that way we can send some love to Dallin Holker, Rico Payton, Matt Hayball, and, oh my gosh, Mason Tipton. I don't know how that name slipped me, but I want to say congratulations to all four of those undrafted free agents for making the game day roster. And now coming up in today's video, I'm going to dive into why I'm excited about these undrafted free agents, and I'm going to dive into why Mickey Loomis absolutely fleeced the NFL by bringing in these four players. Saints fans, it is Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trey Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's dive in. Like I said, Mickey Loomis has done it again. The New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, they have an excellent eye for undrafted free agent talent. And I can understand where some of y'all are upset and frustrated with the front office and with the scouting department because it's like, oh my gosh, we're missing on these first-round picks, and we're drafting these O-linemen, and we're taking Peyton Turner over Lamar Jackson, and we're doing this and we're doing that. It's so dumb. I'm not going to disagree with you on some of that. But they are good at undrafted free agents. That is a fact. There is a handful of really productive players on the New Orleans Saints that are undrafted free agents, and they are diamonds in the rough. So I want to dive into Dallin Holker first, because Holker Mania is here, Saints fans. He did miss time in the preseason due to an ankle injury, and I think that he is a player that provides a lot of things for the New Orleans Saints, and he was extremely productive in 2023 out at Colorado State. Transferred from BYU to Colorado State in his last year of college football, and this is a player who I think could actually have a big impact at the tight end position. I don't expect him to be challenging for tight end one, but hey, I am really, really excited, and if you don't believe me, check out this video I posted yesterday.
Holker Mania is coming to New Orleans, brother. Dallin Holker, he made the 53-man roster, the tight end out of Colorado State. He's bringing all the Holker Maniacs, the Who Dat Nation, and he's taking down the NFC South. Let's go, brother. Who Dat?
Holker Mania, like I said. I don't know if you guys got amped up, but you should have, because right now I'm rewatching that video. My blood is boiling. I'm just ready to run through a wall, and Dallin Holker is going to be the guy that's going to be leading us on that charge. In the preseason, very limited production, again, dealing with an ankle injury, but for that tight end spot that has players like Taysom Hill, that has players like Foster Moreau, that has Juwan Johnson on the roster, I do believe with Dallin Holker, he could find himself active in the red zone. I want to see him active in the red zone. And another big thing about him, he's really, really good at forcing missed tackles. In 2023, he had 15 missed tackles forced, and he had 10 contested catches. So I want to see him get utilized in the red zone. I want to see Clint Kubiak scheme up plays for Dallin Holker, because as we all know, last year with Pete Carmichael, it was a struggle to get the tight end position rolling. And that's with Jimmy Graham, which was absolutely ridiculous. But you want to know something even more ridiculous is how good factor meals are. And I'm a guy who likes to procrastinate, who's pretty lazy, but loves to cook. And I like to consider myself a little bit of a foodie. And factor meals, not only are they delicious, but they're nutritious as well. And if you want to meet your wellness goals this fall, you should check out Factor Meals. They have a delicious menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and keto-friendly diets. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. And with 35 different meals and over 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Make every day delicious, from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Head over to factormeals.com/SaintsChat50 and use code SaintsChat50 to get 50% off your first box. And don't call me Billy Mays, but wait, there's more. When you use code SaintsChat50, you'll also get 20% off your next month. So friendly reminder, that's code SaintsChat50 at factormeals.com/SaintsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. If you missed any of that, all the information is in the comment section and description of this video. Shout out to Factor Meals for sponsoring today's show, and shout out to you for upping your nutrition and your food game by using Factor Meals. Number 2 undrafted free agent that made the roster, it's Mason Tipton, the Yale wide receiver. And why this is such a crazy thing for me is he made the roster without playing a single preseason game. That means at training camp, that means in OTAs, that means at mini camp. He impressed the coaches so much with his speed, so much with his receiving ability, that he carved out a spot on the 53-man roster. And for Mason Tipton, he did get reps with the first team, and the depth at the wide receiver position, in my opinion, is a little bit questionable outside of those top 3 guys in Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and A.T. Perry. I like Cedric Wilson. I like Bub Means. But Mason Tipton, he adds another element of speed. He adds another element of a gritty, hardworking guy. And I also believe he's not only going to contribute on special teams as a return man, but also defending special teams. He's a fast player. He wants to do anything he can to contribute, and I'm really excited about him. And back in May of 2024, Saints Wire did an interview with Mason Tipton, and I actually think this is some pretty cool information. Look at this. I mean, read what this says. It talks about what he's capable of, what things he can do, and why he is a good player. And he's saying, I can't wait to show the New Orleans Saints organization what I'm capable of. And I think that this is a player who's going to be extremely productive in New Orleans, especially, and not especially, but in my opinion, I like to see him lined up in the slot. Use him as a little speedy slot guy. Come on, that'd be awesome. But here's a little bit more on Mason Tipton. His athletic profile, it's pretty impressive. Only 5'11" and 191 pounds, so that's small. But the dude is a speed demon. And on top of that, he is one of the most productive players in Yale's wide receiver history. 807 yards last year, 10 touchdowns at Yale in college and or last season. And hey, this is a player I'm excited about. And you know, if you guys remember, he was dealing with the hamstring injury. That's why he missed in the preseason. There's a really cool quote from that same interview that I want to read to you guys really quick. The biggest thing that they're getting is someone who is committed to their craft. I'm going to come in with a lot of excitement and pride for the position that I'm in. That's exactly what he did, and it was enough to earn him a spot on the roster. Mason Tipton, I think, could be the next big wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Big because he's 5'11". But I think he could be the next big wide receiver that came as an undrafted free agent that was an absolute steal and an absolute diamond in the rough. So shout out to Mickey Loomis and the Saints scouting department for sniffing out Mason Tipton. But I want to ask you this question. Who's going to have a bigger impact on the Saints offense? Is it going to be Dallin Holker or is it going to be Mason Tipton? I think both of them will have some impact, but I'm not expecting either of them to take over to lead their position groups. But I want you to let me know who's going to have a bigger impact. Now, maybe no impact will be as big as Rico Payton's. You might just get hit with a Rico. That song rocks. So he was one of the most impressive. Hold on. Let me start that over because I'm clearly all over the place. He was one of the most impressive rookies this preseason. In week 1 of the NFL preseason, he was the second highest graded rookie across the entire NFL in terms of his PFF grade. And he does join a group of really quality players that do consist of Kool-Aid McKinstry, Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo. And then on top of that, a lot of talented DBs like Tyrann Mathieu. And his college production was really impressive at Pittsburgh State. 64 tackles, 4 interceptions for the Gorillas. And for a guy like Rico Payton, he was impressive in the preseason. An 83 overall PFF grade. And this was all done in 107 snaps. We saw him get after Malik Willis, and he had a beautiful sack. Teams tried to pick on him against the 49ers, and he held his own. The Cardinals, he got a lot of run in that game too. And he held his own, and he managed to put up an unbelievable game. I watched an interview with Rico Payton on YouTube during his scouting process, and it was really informative, and it was just a cool interview to see. He talks a lot about his mentality. He talks about how he's just a hardworking guy. He's scrappy. He likes to get after it, and he said that he models his game after Jalen Ramsey, which, hey, Chris Olave absolutely dusted Jalen Ramsey, but he's a good football player. So I wouldn't mind seeing Rico Payton's development turn into something more. I'm excited to see how these other players can pour into Rico Payton. And if we're just talking long-term for the future, I think the idea of having maybe Paulson Adebo can stick around. But if it's Kool-Aid McKinstry and Rico Payton as your starting two CBs, let's say in 2-3 years, it's not a bad rap right there, guys, especially considering the fact that he's an undrafted free agent. And he's young, and he's cheap. So that right there makes the New Orleans Saints' lives a lot easier, especially considering the fact that they got to start being a little bit smarter with the cap, which is what they've been doing this offseason. But this just is another great move by Mickey Loomis. So last move that absolutely just blew me away. Mickey Loomis did it again. He brought in a punter. And he brought in the Aussie from Corio Bay. He was a punter in Vanderbilt, one of the best punters in this draft class last year. He had 7 attempts in the preseason, an average of over 50 yards per punt. The long was 61 yards. He only had one that was downed inside of the 20. Would like to see that happen a little bit more often. Call me crazy. But the hang time, the average hang time for the Australian punter, 4.47 seconds, which is not too bad. So with Matt Hayball beating out Lou Headley in the punter competition, you have the same kicker in Blake Grupe, but a new punter in Matthew Hayball. So shout out to him for making the roster, and shout out to all 4 of these guys for impressing the coaches enough to end up on the 53-man roster. So Dallin Holker, Mason Tipton, Rico Payton, and Matthew Hayball. We went through all of these 4 players. Mickey Loomis did it again. He has an excellent undrafted free agency class, and 4 of them ended up on the active roster, which is unbelievable. So I'm excited about these 4 guys, and I want to ask you this question to round out today's show. Which undrafted free agent are you most excited to watch? Just give them a shout out in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. And as always, Saints fans, thank you so much for tuning into today's program. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and lock us in for more coverage around your favorite football team. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.